Come see some fantastic weapon upgrades for the Mars Alpha Warlord Titan from Forge World. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. What's happening, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Baer here again today with you, and we've got Titan upgrades. Now, everybody knows the Warlord Titan is one of the most magnificent kits Forge World has ever put out. Of course, it's probably the most expensive, if not the most expensive kit. And it's got accessories. That's how you know something has done really good in sales, if they keep putting parts out for it or accessories out for it. I'm sure you've seen our accessory video for Warhammer 40k Flashback, with a little hobby flashback weekly kind of segment we try to do. I guess it's every week, but sometimes we do hobby showcases too. But anyways, so these weapon systems are the newest, baddest things for the Warlord Titan itself. Of course, you've got the Apocalypse missile launchers, which actually came out year one. That's not too new, but it is out there. Then we got the new Power Claw, which actually contains a Vulcan Mega Bolter, which is a separate weapon system arm just for the Warhound Titan itself. So think about that. So this fist has a Warhound Titan weapon built into it as well as an auxiliary kind of coaxial type weapon. And then of course the Titan Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator, which is an amazingly ridiculously big plasma cannon built just for the Warlord Titan itself. So let's take a look at the missile launcher. Now this thing came out, I think, right about the same time as the Titan itself. Actually, maybe not. I can't remember. It's hard to keep track of all the Games Workshop's releases, but especially with Forge World involved too, right? But the cool thing about this is you can switch this out for the top mounts, of course. Now an interesting caveat. Let's just start at the beginning here. So there isn't rules for this Titan in 40k. The only actual rules for playing with the Warlord Titan, there's no expend and run rules, there's no download or anything like that if you check Forge World's site. The only rules for playing it is in 30k, and it's in this book right here, which is really interesting too, because, you know, I would like, you know, to know how to play it in 40k, but it does have special rules itself. This Towering Monstrosity Warlord Titan rules. It basically has built-in invisibility, which is pretty much amazing. It is its own army on parade right there, 2,750 points, and then you can see all of the options here on both arms. You know, you can have the Plasma Annihilator, some of these other weapons here that they don't exist anymore. Of course, you got the Power, or that they haven't made yet, the Power Claw, and then of course the volcano cannon as well. And then on the top, the carapace mounted stuff, you can have all these options. Now right now all they have is the missiles, the Apocalypse missiles, which are I'm about to show you here. And then of course you can have the laser blasters, yeah, right there, the two Reaver laser blasters, two sets of those on the shoulders. So if you want to take these missiles, which they're not bad, I think they're like 5 shots, ignore cover kind of type thing for each one. It's a pretty cool looking kit. They come with their own little kind of sockets that basically lock into the top there. Some pistons, because you can actually position, they don't move, but you have to position them independently on how they're positioned or basically aimed. And there you can see in the diagram basically how they look, taking away those blasters on the top there. Now each one of the little missiles itself is an independent bit. There's the pistons that you basically cut and position per how you want. Like if you want to tilt it up, you want to tilt it forward, whatever. Then you've got the exhaust ports here, and that's pretty much the kit. They're just huge chunks of pewter. You can kind of see right here. These are the sockets. They go right into the shelf, to the back carapace. And then here's the big parts, and of course they come bubble wrapped right there. So great looking stuff, very heavy. This is a very heavy thing just to be just arbitrarily right on top, but compared to the blasters, they're much lighter. So you can see where the exhaust socket in, which are in here, and I'll show you in a second. So very good detailing. I mean, besides that little piece of flash, which doesn't look to be permanent down in there, they're, you know, pretty well detailed, all the little studs and everything. I mean, Forge World does a really good job. You can kind of see the sheen here, so always make sure you wash your resin with some dish soap or something like that. Don't be a sillies. Sometimes people forget, which is fine. And then here's all, multiple missile tips. Pew, 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 pew. Wow, that's a lot of missile tips right there. Let me get these out of the way for you so you can see the detail. So they're actually kind of small. And then there's your two piston pieces with a rogue piston in the bag, maybe? Oh, uh-oh. That's weird. Looks like it's separated before they even bagged it, because we don't have the part. Uh-oh. Nope, I wonder if it's in the box. Uh-oh. Gonna have to call Forge World because there is a piston on the loose. And then there's the exhaust, which socket into the back of those missile launchers right there. So pretty neat kit. Like I said, very well detailed. I mean, stuff like that you can't do anymore. The vents cut at that perfect angle right there. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you need computers for, and it's really cool that now we're seeing this, this resin technology being able to be used with computer 3D design. Of course, you know, sometimes I feel like you lose a little bit with the resin as far as like tolerances and gaps go and things like that, but you just, you kind of got to roll with it because there isn't a reliable way to affordably make the plastic something at this level in plastic. Now here's the power fist, which I think is pretty cool. Like I said, it's a freaking fist with another Titan weapon on top of it, so it's kind of a twofer, which we love Titan twofers, don't we? So here's all the parts right here, the exploded view. Now you can actually put little fingertips on it, or you can put claws on it as well, which is pretty cool. Bear claw, which I thought was kind of neat. It's completely disymmetrical, or whatever they call it. You can have it either way, just basically whichever way you position the thumb, and then even the power generator can be positioned to be the correct, it would be on the downside, or I guess the dorsal side. It'd be ventral. But anyways, so it could be on the body. Either way, you can do it whichever left or right hand you want, which is pretty cool that they're thinking that far ahead and being able to, actually mold the kit that way. And then, of course, it has the little Gatler on the side, with armored doors, and very well detailed. I mean, it's pretty cool here. Of course, we've got the full color exploded diagram showing us how to put it together, or schematic rather, like the green, yellow is always where the planes are that you're supposed to attach things to. Blue is optional parts. And then in the back there, you can kind of see everything. You don't have to glue the whole thing down if you don't want to. I'm sure you can magnetize it, but there is everything right there, and it kind of just goes together like so. It seems in theory to be a very easy kit. Now, of course, we know in the past that sometimes that isn't the case, but we like to hope. So once we open it all up here, we will kind of show you just exactly how big this bad boy is. So there's the fist itself, which ginormous. When you start thinking about, this is literally as big as a rhino. Well, slightly smaller. It's probably on par with I guess a land speeder. It's definitely land speeder size. So here is that, and then of course you've got the Gatler piece that goes on top. That's your optional kind of coaxial type thing. Now let's give you something to compare it to. So here's just a 32mm Chaos Blood Warrior out of Age of Sigmar, just to give you an idea of how big this kit really is. Like the fist for the Titan is literally, when you put everything on it, it's definitely on par with the size of my hand. Now my hand's probably a little bigger than most people's hands, I imagine, for some reason, but you can get an idea there that it is definitely almost hand size, especially when you put some of the pieces on here. Because remember, the fingertips, it's not just the one part, it builds out. Well, let's see, so there's the claw. So that would be right about to there. So I guess it's about the same size. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Nothing is way cooler when it's about the same size as your hand. And there's the Gatlers where the ends are the actual Gatler parts itself. And here's all the parts. You got a couple of armor plates, which you can paint separately. It's always a good idea to paint those bad boys separately. Both of these, some are for, you can see right here, some go over where is it? So the wrist armor and 2 hand armors. So the wrist armors go back a little ways on the hand, and then those go right over the top there. So theoretically, you could even paint this separate because it is technically kind of armor platey, but you know, just kind of depending on how you want to do it. And here's the joint to attach it to. A couple of the claw options there, which you can do. There's the knuckles, I guess would be for lack of a better term, and more of the assembly. More knuckles, and then these are the fingers. This is the thumb. If you decide to go that way, there's your gattlers. There's let's see, more pieces. There's the ammo covers for the gattlers. More claw pieces right there. Another armor plate. There's 4 of the same. And then this is the generator piece. There's your pistons. More generator pieces right there. More mid-digital extensions. And this is more of the power supplies. And this is, oh yeah, right there. So it locks in kind of something like this, and then it locks into the Titan itself. So it's a big kit in it of itself. What does this thing retail for? It doesn't say on here. Not exactly sure, but if I had to guess, it'd probably be around 50 or 60 bucks. But I mean, you can tell the detailing, amazing, impeccable. You know, you got all this great looking trim with all the little studs. I mean, look at the gattlers, like very well done as far as detail goes. I mean, Forge World's impeccable when it comes to detail. It's just sometimes the things you have a little difficult time putting it together. If you want to check out how to bend and heat up your Forge World resin, we have a separate tutorial on that here on the channel as well. That's always a good one to check out because sometimes it's difficult to do and not everybody has access to the same things. Just having a heat gun or perhaps just a pot of water, you know, boiling hot water that you can dip things into. You know, obviously use some sort of tool so you don't burn your hands. That's key right there. So this was the Artok Power Claw / Power Fist. There's no difference whether you put, you know, claws on here or whether you arm it with just the normal fingers. It's just basically on kind of how it looks. Now, how cool would it be to get a Chaos version of the Warlord Titan? Now, everybody, you know, there is a Chaos Reaver version. Of course, there's Chaos Warhound versions, but how cool would it be to actually get one that was, you know, done up in Chaos? Like, I wonder what they could do, because with the Reaver they have these different plates and things you can put on it, but I wonder what they could do to make that you know, Renegade, because that would be super sweet. Alright, now last but definitely not least is a big kit. This is the Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator, and I really like the styling of how this thing goes together. Like, you can't really tell how detailed it really is right there, just judging from the schematic here, but once you see the exploded view, you really kind of get a sense for it, because these plasma coils are all individually like forward kind of jointed, like almost like a halo gun weapon. Like when it overheats, it kind of opens up, like the plasma gun, like it opens up and it kind of like it stays open to kind of vent all that, you know, plasma coils and things like that. That's how it stays basically. So it's really cool to see that. I'm like, oh man, that really reminds me of that Halo gun. And then you've got all the stuff in here. Of course, you've got canisters, because of course there is ammo on these things, believe it or not. Reaction chambers, ignition ports, you know, you got cowlings, armor platings, barrel supports, all sorts of different things. And of course, you can assemble it left or right. You just have to keep in mind which side you put the brackets on, so you don't mess that up. And then here's just a quick overview of how it goes together. Very easy stuff. You know, it's just got a ton of wires and things underneath that everything mounts in a specific order. But remember, you can always kind of say which side it's going to be on, but you have to make the decision when you assemble it, which I thought was pretty cool. So you're not pigeonholed into, oh, if I have it on the right, I can't have it on the left. I already have something glued down. No, they got you, dog. Like, no big deal. Here's your pants. All right, so pretty cool looking kit, right? At the onset, let's take a look at the parts themselves, because this one's big. It comes in a big box. So you got this little protection right here, where it's like a little individual clamp pack for some of the more fiddlier bits. Now, this is something you're going to have to heat up and bend. The little focusing beam support things right there, barrel supports, the targeter. Then you've got some of the underslung wires, the small ones and the big ones, which they show you in that diagram there. Next pack is some bigger parts. Then you get down into the nitty-gritty, which is the big weapon mounts and the large straight pieces for the Titan. So let's take a look at those. Now these are big chunks. Like these are just as big as the volcano cannon. Because remember, these primary weapons are big. So it makes sense that this kit would be big too. So there's that big chunk right there. Here, just to give you an idea, this is literally almost a 32mm base right there. So keep that in mind when you see all those Titan weapons out there for the Warlord Titan. That joint is just as big as the Space Marines base. And then here is the center section, and then the four. I guess they're not all. They would have to be. Yeah, 2 are going to be the same, and 2 would be different right there. But like I said, it's really cool how they slot in. Now I'm not going to be able to do it because these pieces are here, but you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about there, how it's actually kind of a free separated, like split down the middle, like almost quartered, which I think is pretty neat. And it's gonna really give, when you paint something like this up, it's gonna give all sorts of opportunity for a lot of contrast. You know, thinning your paints is good and all, like that's a key, that's a cornerstone, that's a great foundation to build on. But as far as pop and having people like, oh snap, taking those second looks at your army, you want that contrast, and this really gives you all sorts of opportunity because you'll have all these crazy depths in here to really work with and kind of maximize all the different things, which I thought was pretty neat. So there's those parts there. We're going to slide those out and take a look at some of the smaller stuff. Now this is the back piece here, which mounts something like, oh, of course it's, yeah, so we can't do it because there's a big sprue gate right there, but boom, kind of get the idea. And this really reminds me of like some crazy Mechanicum stuff right here as well too, because it looks kind of like some of those Taros tanks, the little small conveyors and things like that. And then you've got the canisters, which socket under there, either left or right, depending on which way you want it to go. And then at the ends of those, sockets in the canisters itself. So these are holders, and those are the canisters. And then here's your big, where is it? Okay, so this goes like this, and locks in. Yep. So it locks in like that. So it kind of forms this really crazy rear assembly of like wires. And then there's wires that go inside here. Yo, dog, I heard you like wires. So we're going to give you some wires for your wires. And those wires are in here. Boom. It's just layers upon layers of wires. Boom, boom, boom. And then more parts. So this is some stuff on the front to help keep all the barrels straight and look dope. And then these pieces, there's these little slots right here. Some of these, this one locks in, I think it goes like this, and then locks back. I forget how it goes, but you kind of get the idea there. And then these go over top of that, somewhere back here as well. I forget exactly where. But basically, there's just a whole bunch of wires back here, just making it look super fresh and dope. And then on the very end, the very end, is your maintenance cap. Yep, your maintenance cap goes right there, which, I don't know, I guess that's where they send the servitors in there. They draw straws, and somebody goes in there and lights a fire, and something bad or good happens. Either way, probably not for the servitor. So that was the Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator. Now let's talk about some of these weapons. People are like, hey, that's cool, they look great. What does that do in game? Like, how many of my toys do I have to pick up if that hits me? Well, let me tell you. So the Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator is, what is this thing? I think it's a primary weapon, large, let's take a look. Large primary weapon 4, I believe. Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator. 72-inch range, so pretty much if you're playing Apocalypse or a normal game, it's going to be the whole board. Strength 9, AP 2, primary weapon 4. So it fires 4 times. It's primary weapon, so you're going to get that extra D6, or you roll 2d6, take the highest on pen. It's the new ordinance, but the new ordinance rules without the ordinance restriction. Apocalyptic Barrage, so you're going to get that Cloverleaf, boom, and then you're going to roll 4 times on it, and it has the Plasma Wave roll, and what that is successful cover saves against this weapon must be re-rolled. So pretty solid to have. It's going to dig out some troops. It's not going to do a whole lot against armor. That's what your volcano cannons and things are for, but it can do the Lord's work against the troops. And then up here you got the Apocalypse Missile Launcher, which we just showed you. Strength 7, AP 3, primary weapon 5, so each one fires 5 times. And the Apocalypse Barrage template, boom. And that does not ignore cover. I thought it ignored cover. I am a stinky liar. I apologize for that, but it's still pretty good. And then last but not least, you've got the Power Claw, which is Strength D, AP 1, melee +1 attack, Machine Destroyer. Machine Destroyer is also on the Volcano Cannon, right? Bellicoaster pattern Volcano Cannon also has Machine Destroyer. the other primary weapon that's available right now for this thing. When attacking any target with an armor value, rolls of 1 on the destroyer damage may be re-rolled. So not going to be very good for anything that is underneath or gets hit by those weapons, including that big boot to the face, or fist to the face, so to speak, of the Titan. So it's got 3 attacks, so it will go up to 4 attacks. Could you imagine this thing like either just lunging at another one to punch it, or like lunging down to like crush, like just curb stomp, but it's not curb stomp to a Titan. You know, it's just like Hulk smash a Land Raider, just like crater. Nah, somebody should model that. It'd be so fresh. I don't know if you could with the joints, but it'd be cool to see. So that is how these weapons work. Pretty cool stuff there. I can't wait to see what else Forge World has to come out with. Very good looking stuff. I love these upgrades. The only other thing out there that we haven't reviewed on the channel, I guess right now, is the variant head, which I think is only available from Warhammer World itself. Hope to get one of those next time somebody goes out there and it's like, hey, I'm going to Warhammer World. You want one of these? Sure, yeah, we'll take a look at it, because it could be a primary objective kit or something like that for somebody, you know, throw it on the tabletop, make some terrain out of it. You don't have to have a Titan to buy its head, right? So that's it for this one. Errors, omissions, questions, comments, leave them below, folks.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.